Welcome to Chat Box with Sam. Tonight's guest is Gary Cairns. Hello, Gary. If you were to encourage the younger generation, what would be the main focus?
Well, like I tell my 15, almost 16-year-old son, and this is generally speaking, the only person you need to impress is your future self. So the things you do daily, the things you don't do that would help you, you know what I mean? Like don't do drugs or stupid things or whatever. That is really as simple as that, but it's also as hard as that. Is we all get caught up in life and influences and peer pressures and whatever is around you. So if you really focus on just impressing your future self, like where would you be in 10 years from now in the steps you want to go about doing that? So as simple as just saying, the only advice I can do is only person you need to impress is your future self. And if it comes down to, being an actor, it's same thing kind of. That is, do something daily that's going to help your career. Either it's studying or networking but nonetheless, always be studying, growing your craft, study the people that inspire you to be an actor. No one just wakes up and we've never heard of an actor. So those people you study, like when I was young, Corin Nemec was a guy that I watched and made me realize what an actor was, because I saw him in two different things. And I was like, so I watched everything he did. And he was one of my biggest inspirations, made me want to be an actor. So just study, stay focused.
That's a very good answer. Very good. Very wise words. What has inspired you into this career?
It's kind of like I was interested when I was young, but I was super scared of it. I was like, oh no. I remember my first acting class. I just did it because my family was doing it. And I was super nervous, but I think that fear was intriguing, but it was a good fear. Like fear has always been my friend. It keeps me safe on a motorcycle, if that makes sense. I don't test my limits.
Yes.
But it's like curiosity, and I just shied away from it. But when I step away from films, or it's like I don't feel complete at all. Like I've stepped away for numerous times through the years, and it's because I know what I need to do. It's shedding my skin, and that's what that is. It's film, and as a young age, I didn't understand it, but now I do. It's kind of like a calling, and I just follow it.
When you say your family, could you elaborate on that?
Well, my sister was, younger, doing little modeling campaigns like locally for, you open the mail and you see like Marvin's ad or Macy's. I think she was in a Macy's ad doing modeling and doing that type of stuff at a local studio. And my dad was, dabbling with classes and just trying to do comedy, but I don't even know if he attempted to go further than that. It was just talked about. And they moved to Southern California from Northern California. And then like I said, I don't even know how it kind of just happened. I just kind of one day, I remember waking up and I walked. So I didn't have a car. I think I was like 18, and I walked like 2 miles to the little local actor studio and said, "Yeah, I want to do this. So what do I do?" And the director there was like, "Here, pick a monologue, come back in 2 weeks. We're having a showcase in front of 6 agents." And I said, "Okay." And the rest is kind of history. We had some agents interested, and boom. One thing after another.
Right. It's very interesting industry, I'm sure, to be in.
Yeah.
Has music influenced your life, and in what way the most?
Tremendously influences me. Sets the tone. Just daily, you get in the car, you can. It's hard. I mean, just like I think it influences everyone, the moods, but it's inspired my poetry that I wrote. I like to write rhymes, so hip hop, but I love all music. I like Indian powwow music. Sometimes to get focused, not necessarily on set. I can't remember that I ever used it, but maybe for auditions, I kind of drove maybe 45 minutes to my audition and I put like Indian powwow music just to kind of zone out. But every type of music influences me. Beethoven, from classic rock to Tupac. It's it's a daily thing. It
Well,
really is.
well, music does make memories too, and it's very calming. Can be calming, soothing.
Yeah, there's certain songs that
Hmm.
trigger certain things. Even as a child, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that moment.
Do you remember the Grease Lightning one? Well, I'm older than you, so I do.
Yeah, I remember the Spaghetti Grease. So
We're all at school.
yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, I thought I'd throw that in there. Yes, I know you've wrote a book on poetry, haven't you? Would you like to talk about that?
Well, I didn't write a book on poetry. I wrote a
A poetry book,
kind of
sorry.
yeah, and that started off. I would do little, just like on Instagram, I would just do little posts, little freestyles, and after a while, everyone's just like, "You need to make a book." And I said, "Nah."
Hmm.
I just wasn't feeling. I was like, "Nah, I don't need to. Just put it here. I'm not trying to make money on it or anything like that. It's just it was just a release. It was something. I used to say I was never a writer, and then I started writing screenplays, and then I found poetry one day. It was, you go through things in life, and that was therapy.
Yeah.
Um, if I ever write something, it's just to get something off my chest. It's just like that's all it is. But I turn into whatever pain or happiness or whatever. I mean,
Hmm.
most of it's cheerful, or about love or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, they're just simply freestyles. I call them, I spit it because it's like a rhyme. Some come off. If I were to read it, it'd probably read different than how you would read it because I read it almost like I'm rapping it, and
Hmm.
then sometimes it's very normal poetry style. But anyways, I put a book together with my buddy Nick Johnson. I gave him some ideas for art because he's a great graphic designer, and
Hmm.
I gave him an idea. Like every time I give Nick an idea, I say, "Here, let's do this." He'll come back with something more magical than I even pictured. He's such a genius, and he created that cover art for me, and even the some of the pics are pictures, and then any other art that's inside it, that he 100% did all that. So it's just a fun collaborative effort.
That's awesome. I actually really love your poetry. It's very deep and meaningful and honest about your feelings, and that can be so rare coming from gentlemen, and most women appreciate that. Just so you know, it's very,
Mm.
very, very beautiful words because they come from your soul. Because I write poetry myself, so and it's therapeutic, and if it comes from your soul, it's real, and you're sharing a part of you, which is an
It definitely
intimate
is.
part. It's an intimate part of you, I think.
It is. Yeah, no, and that's why I put out there. There's D Taylor, who's a person I've gotten to know on social media, who's inspired me to another person that I always say, Gary, turn this into a book. And
Hmm.
she's always commenting. She's always like, waiting, Gary, when you're going to write another one? And every time I post one, I do think of D. I'm like, D, maybe she'll see this.
Yeah.
Because she's probably the number one person that is all over my stuff.
Hmm.
And talk, privately sometimes on DMs, and
Hmm.
uh, I appreciate her. I appreciate a lot of people that give me the time of day. So I definitely had to give a shout out to Dee because she's one of the people that pushed me to make that
Dee,
book.
you are awesome. Appreciation, or someone appreciating your work, your words, or even you, that's priceless, I think. And the fact that you appreciate it and giving her a shout out, that's priceless also. You're a good soul, Gary.
Yeah, I just thought of him. I can't, every time I think of the book, she pops my thoughts. So
Ah,
it's yeah.
out of all the charities that are out there, which one would you choose to donate and why?
Hmm. It's funny as I do think of that. If I ever come up with billions of dollars and I'm who to donate, I don't know if it's hard to choose one. I mean, my first instinct would help young children, that
Mm-hmm.
because they are our future, and I figure if you seems like generations get smarter and smarter, so if we can invest in our children, if there's some people that are struggling, with diseases and cancer and stuff like that, if we can rehabilitate that's my gut first thing that I would look into. But I'm sure if I really looked into it, there'd be a lot more. And there definitely have to be something with animals, like an animal rescue of some sort. I would love to um, make sure that the wildlife and even just
Mm-hmm.
domesticated animals, there's some type of feasible situation. I speak ignorantly about it, but I know that there's, humane societies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then these people need to be paid for what they do, and if they're helping, but it definitely be something to animals and children first and foremost.
Yes, and I completely 100% agree with you. And actually, most people answer the same way. So, how do you feel about what has transpired since COVID? And do you ever see us returning to a normality as before?
Well, I know it's affected everyone differently. People have lost loved ones, and so I don't want to. For me, it's hasn't been. I don't feel like I felt any effects of it. To be honest with you, I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of an isolated person as it is. I mean, I had a very simple life.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought COVID has kind of, in a weird way, made things more efficient. You go to the DMV and go to the grocery store. Things just seem to move faster, except for Walmart. For some reason, they just can't seem to get the weirdest thing. Like, and then you walk around certain stores. There's just no employees. Like Costco the other day, I'm like literally hiking. I had to go all the way to the front to ask someone where the damn popcorn was. Is the only aisle I didn't look to, by the way. But
Isn't that
I
always the
feel like,
way?
yeah, I gave up on the last thing, and that's what happened.
I saw your
But
tweet. I saw your tweet. No
yeah,
popcorn, along with the
I was
socks.
hoping someone could tell me what aisle it was,
Mm-hmm.
but I found it pretty quick after that. Um,
So you
but
found.
COVID to me, huh? Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to save that one for a minute. But carry on, carry on.
Yeah, I was just gonna finish the COVID thing. I mean, for me personally, I don't want to say it was a positive because, but I thrived in it. In a weird way. I stayed where everyone was kind of certain people panicked. I just
Mm-hmm.
stayed creative. I kept trying to. That's how I started releasing my writer culture,
Mm-hmm.
which my clothing line. I'm always thinking, what can I do to be creative? It's just, and I don't actually. It just happens. I'm like, okay, I'm a writer. I'm not going to write this. I'm going to make this. I write. I'm a actor. There would be something else that I do that I'll figure out some other way to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think COVID to me is a positive if you look at it, minus the people that lost their lives. And I know, and who's to know the accuracy of all that, but nonetheless, if you lost your life, whatever way it was, it's sad. And it put a panic on everybody. But going back to normality, I think we will.
Mm-hmm.
We as a human race, I mean, there's been pandemics throughout the decade. We used to hear about it before we were ever around,
Mm-hmm.
and we come together. I think the good outweighs the evil in this world, one way or the other, and not that it's necessarily evil, but anything killing people, it's an evil force, one way or the other.
It is.
And I think it's going to come back, and we're going to be able to come together and go to games, go to concerts, and without wearing masks. And I think it's going to be fine. But I think people, hopefully, I mean, some won't appreciate life because that's just who they are. They're just ignorant, selfish, righteous, entitled pieces, of people. But I think for other people that are on the verge of selflessness and enjoying life, I think it'll help.
Yes.
um, just the simple things of, man, being able to sit at a restaurant. I mean, how great is that? I mean,
I
you
know.
can sit at a restaurant, people can look around and go, I see people like, yeah, like, because I've been where I live, it didn't really. I mean, Huntington Beach, Orange County, it barely shut down. I think for like 2 days it seemed like a ghost town. Other than that, it was kind of just
Really?
everyone broke the rules. Yeah, I don't. I mean, for when I went, I mean, it was shut down. They try to stop the beaches for like a whole week or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it because I was just riding. It was less traffic. I was just weaving in, my motorcycle. I was like, this is awesome.
There was
So
extra.
yeah, but I think we'll come back to maybe a different normal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and I think it'll go back kind of where it was, but with more wiser. We as humans, we go through things, even individual things that we go through, and as a nation, as a world,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully we're wiser, we're cleaner.
Yeah.
I think people should take better care of themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
for whatever it is. I mean, I wash my hands more often than I did. I'm conscious of it, not just for COVID, but it's becoming a second nature. So
Yes.
I think it'll make the world a better place in the long run.
And more people have become more courteous, I think. Staying instead of pushing into a line, they now hold back and wait in the 6 feet. And
Well,
I
go to
found
Walmart. Go to Walmart. You change your answer. The two Walmarts I've been into, I was like, it was like pre-pandemic bullshit. You know what I mean?
is there anything that have you ever been in an interview where you would like the interviewer to have asked a question but they never did? And if so, what would that question be?
The answer would just be no. Honestly, because I never had a preset of questions. I think if I would have had in any interview I've ever done, if they would have emailed me and asked if I would have known what they would have been before, because I hear people do that. I don't. I just keep it real. I don't know what you're going to ask before, and the same. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm never like, oh, I wish she would ask that or he would ask that, and I wish I would have said that. I'm always. I just let it be as
Mm-hmm.
organic as possible and respect it for what it is and was. So the
That's
answer would be
awesome.
no. Yeah.
Okay. And then in your career, I watched Purgatory Road. I know you've been in Criminal Minds and you've just finished Day Labour. So, did you ever bring, because Purgatory Road was quite dark, did you, in any of
Really?
the,
That was dark.
Purgatory Road is
You didn't
very
find
dark.
you didn't find it like comedic or anything?
um, I found it had a twist. It
I'm
had a
just
twist.
joking. No, I'm just joking because I remember reading a review from someone going, I just didn't see the humor in this at all. I'm thinking, I actually I think it was fun. I was thinking, where did you think this was supposed to be a comedy? I usually
Oh
let
my
critics and say,
gosh.
but the guy was like, it wasn't funny. It was very dark. So I was expecting a comedy, and he's going off on it. I'm thinking, what
No.
part of a trailer or advertisement did you see that you thought it was a comedic? That's why I asked. I was asking as a joke, like obviously because
That's
it's a super.
okay. I'm glad I answered
Uh,
correctly. You would have said, yeah, I thought it was hilarious. That would have been off course, wouldn't it?
yeah, it's. But go ahead, finish your question.
Well, I know it was so in the roles that you've played, if you'd like to share a few that you've played, is there any of them where you saw part of your personality? Because you played a good guy, you played a victim or a good guy, or you played a bad guy. Is there anything in your personality that you've identified with just a small touch of that character role that you've played? In any, in which one would be the most one?
Well, the closest role to Gary, like as who I am, it would be the role that I wrote in Monumental, the Steve character.
Hmm.
It's, I mean, I wrote it particularly because there's Klain and Steve. People perceive me as a Klain.
Hmm.
And even when my old manager read Monumental, she's like, "Oh, Gary, you're going to play Klain." I said, "No, I'm playing Steve because everyone thinks I play Klain because it's just the roles I get casted for and stuff like that."
Hmm.
I said, "No, I'm going to play this simple dude. It's just simple character who's just real and authentic, and that is what I wanted to portray. So if that's the closest one to me is Monumental,
Hmm.
um, but every little thing, and I think there's a lot of me in Malignant. It's very deep. I don't drink really. I mean, I'll have a drink and stuff, but it's not like I'm not an alcoholic. There's people
Hmm.
thought I was after that, but you
No.
know, if I mean if movies were real, I'd be in jail. Let's put it that way. So
Definitely after
on death
Purgatory
row.
Road, all
Yeah,
dead.
I'd be in death row. And Malignant, I'd be in death row. So it's or hung and whatever. So but yeah, I'd say Steve and Monumental is the closest to me.
And are you looking for future
There's
roles?
so many I picture in my head. There's ones that I want to play like these offbeat, wacky characters that when you watch them, they come out of nowhere in the film or the story, and you're just like, "Whoa, what's going on with this guy?" And I want to do one where you don't understand what I'm talking about, because I have this like crazy like Australian accent. You're like trying to really listen or something. I picture stuff like that.
Can you do
I
an
mean,
Australian?
literally,
Sorry, can you do
I
an
don't want to do
Australian
it right now.
accent? Go on.
Yeah, I dabble with it. It's funny is I used to just do like British, and then now it's just Australian, Aussie because I was studying it so much. And Mark Savage, the director of Purgatory Road, is in Aussie, and I'm always with him. So
Yeah.
I'll always imitate him. He's funny because he'll be like, "What?" and I'll be like, and I'll say it, and he thinks I'm making fun of him. I'm just trying to mimic him all the time. He's just like looks at me all stern, like, "What are you doing, man?" Like, uh, but there's so many roles. I mean, I can go on and on. That's just what I think about. When I hang up with you, I'll be thinking
Mhm.
about what role. There's a couple westerns lining up that we're trying to do.
Mhm.
I mean, on and on. I mean, there's limitless roles. I want to when I'm all said and done, I want to have if someone plays a reel of every character, and I just want it to be super colorful, filled with every type of emotion possible.
Yeah.
That's my goal as an
Can
actor.
you see the industry returning to a normality soon too? Because it's been quite
Yeah,
stalemate. It's been a
I
hard
mean,
industry.
day labor's proof of that for
Yeah.
me. If everyone plays ball, you get the right people involved. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like day labor was a smooth. It's probably one of the smoothest sets I've ever been on, and it was during a pandemic, during the red tier time too.
Yeah. Day Labour, you were in with Corey Nemec and Danny Aruro.
Danny Arroyo, Kevin Gage, Amy Johnston, Roberto Sanchez, David Fernandez. There's just list goes on and on. There's just directed by Roger Ellis Frazier. It was truly a great experience.
Yes. Maybe you some of the cast characters from Purgatory Road. Obviously, that was a something dark. Must be very hard to portray as a person. So maybe you can. Do you ever find that the people you've worked with, it comes back around and you work with them again, or some people you just never work with again?
Oh well, Purgatory Road, you see that, and if you watch Monumental, that's me. Purgatory Road was me and Luke's Albright's third film together.
Oh.
Um, we did a film called Lost in the Crowd back in like '09, and I remember meeting him in the audition where were brought in, and I remember just this guy. He's just an amazing, like Luke Albright is one of the best humans that's ever walked this earth. I mean, just to be honest
Oh.
with you, the guy is so honest, so talented, so focused, so. I mean, he's one of my idols and he's one of my best friends. I just absolutely adore Luke. And I remember when the director called me to cast me as Luther, and that my only question was, did you cast the guy in the fedora hat? Because I didn't know his name. I'm like, he has a
Mhm.
beard, he had fedora's hat. And he goes, Luke Albright. And I said, yeah, can you send me a picture of him? And then he did. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll do the movie. That's how I agreed to do Lost in the Crowd, because this guy, I remember him and Timothy Ryan Cole, who's another amazing, same level of how I respect him as a man. I
Mhm.
remember just the simple things for the audition process, they would ask me if I want something. They're going to the liquor store, and I was like, oh no, no. I was Mr. Isolated, like, don't fucking talk to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
focus, like, but no, but I wanted to hug them at the same time.
Ah.
Um, Lost in a Crowd to me, I mean, not I know it's a little bit off subject, is one of my favorite experiences as an actor. So if you talk about questions that never get asked, if someone asked me one of my best experiences as an actor, definitely Lost in the Crowd, because I think before that movie, I was I'm always studying to be an actor, constantly, never stop. But
Mm.
I think I hit another level.
Mm.
Um, from beginning of that film to studying with Mika Cohen, the director, and everything like that, I think what from beginning and after that, it was like I was ready for whatever was thrown at me at that point. From that whole experience, working with Luke Albright, Timothy Ryan Cole, David Murphy, Marta Cross, McGonigal Cross, and she's married now. Some of the finest actors I've ever worked with, ever. Still to this day, they're top, the top
Oh,
talent.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Um,
Can
I
you
don't know.
can you ice skate?
Yeah, ice skate.
Can you ride
I
a
have.
horse?
I have. I wasn't the best. I I have though, for sure. Roller skating, I did a lot more of that back when I was a kid. Almost semi-pro when it was like
Really?
back in the day. Yeah, it was a weird. I roller skate on the quad skates, and I'd be like, me and my sister were, monthly membership pass at the local skating rink, and we were part of like this Rex team, which is people that just the professionals. And I was like 8 or 9, 10 years old, and would win every race backwards and forwards racing with my group of friends. And then we would always win. So the workers there wouldn't let us play anymore. We ended up just working the games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, it's not a competition for you guys. And almost was going to do the travel team. And I said, nah, found baseball and film stopped me from all that.
So one of your main passions is your motorbike, and you have your own clothing line, Rider
Culture. Yeah.
Rider culture. So yeah, I've seen some of them things posted on Twitter, some of the hats and stuff, and very cool bike and cool items there. So if people want to purchase your rider culture, where could they go for that?
They can go to riderculture.com. And right now I have the site. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the site. I just suspended it for maybe a few weeks to a month, because I'm trying to I'm having I'm going to keep the same stuff that was there, but I'm adding new designs. And I kind of just wanted to, I could leave it open, but mentally I have so much I'm focusing on right now that I once I get the new designs, and with me and Nick Johnson, he's my partner on it, I will then reopen it and just be able to focus on that. But there's just too much going on right now that I don't want to half-ass something else, because that's in the back of my mind. So, but it's still, I mean, no one can buy anything at the moment, because I shut it down, but soon it'll be back. And I'll be riding. I rode today a little bit, actually almost wiped out for the first time, which was kind of interesting. I was just thinking, I almost wiped out, pretty close to it.
Oh no.
I even thought for sure during the moment that I was going to go down. I wasn't even really speeding. It was some, go get 'em jogger, just decided to jaywalk right in front of me.
Oh no.
And then no one around. And I just slammed my brake. I was only going like 50. It's 45-mile-per-hour zone. And I mean, I was way ahead of traffic, but it just decided to dart out. And I was just like, and I was like, and I just felt, I don't have anti-lock brakes because I don't like them, but I just thought, at the same time, I was like, man, I should have anti-lock brakes. That's how long I was skidding.
Yeah.
Because I was able to think about it. And then he's looking back. I was mouthing off to him. He just kept jogging. Because
I'm sorry, that's not funny. That's awful.
No, it is. It's kind of funny a little bit, because I wanted to, my first instinct was just to go tell him off more, because I'm thinking, what are you? I mean, didn't even turn. He just running and then just darted right in the middle of an main street.
He wouldn't have been able to dodge a bus, would he?
No, the bus would have smashed him. They wouldn't have been able to stop in time. Lucky I was quick in downshifting, or else if I wasn't quick on the downshift, I probably would have wiped out, because my brakes would have locked.
Yeah.
And they were kind of puttering, and I was thinking, I just don't want to scratch my bike. That's what I was thinking. I don't want to scratch it.
It's usually not the person on the bike's fault. It's usually the driver that doesn't see, or just
maybe
ignorance from the. And there is those that going too fast and they go in between cars. I've seen that on the freeway, and they go in. And I'm like, that's a death trap right there.
Yeah, in all honesty, when it comes down to motorcycle riding, yes, we're more susceptible to injuries and accidents because we're exposed. But in my years of riding, and for what I know of anyone I know that's been down, it's been their fault, 100%. The rider's fault. I mean, there's a few occasions I've heard where they're sitting at an intersection and they get hit from behind. That's so rare. If you're a smarter rider, you're not going to you're going to line up properly. Right. But any other accident, it's going to more happen. The same thing as if you're in a car. It's just the car's got padding a little bit than a motorcycle doesn't.
Yeah.
but anything I've ever seen, it was the motorcycle rider being pushing their limits and the bike's limits
Mm-hmm.
and the inexperience. Like I said, my fear is my friend. Fear says, Gary,
Mm-hmm.
take it easy. I have a super bike. You know, it's not gonna. It can pretty much do whatever it wants at any moment, but I don't push it. I mean, there's moments I'll light it up, but then I'll slow it down. The canyons, I don't push the turns because I don't know what's coming on the other side. I
Yeah.
don't know if some guy can't control himself. So I make sure I'm ready for that.
What bike do you have? I know it's got gold bars, but I don't know much about bikes.
It's got yeah, gold forks, gold rims. It's a Yamaha FZ1 Street Fighter.
Oh.
So the stock ones come with like two lights and this and that. Mine's got a whole Street Fighter kit and it's raced out. It's not nothing that's really stock on it but the gas tank and the rims. Everything else is all aftermarket.
Would you ever like to do a trial on the KRGT?
The Keanu Reeves' Arch
Mm-hmm.
T1. Yeah, that's number one bike on my list. So,
Just very expensive.
yeah, it's a little on my price range at the moment. It's either like 70 G's plus. There's been a guy I've met that works for Arch, and I was talking to him about it. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I love it because they customize. You go in when you're ordering one, they kind of sit to your ergonomics that you would like as a rider. And they're amazing bikes. I mean, they're designed by single-handedly made as they're ordered, designed for your liking and your ergonomics. So you're pretty penny, but if you can afford it, go for it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
definitely would. I wouldn't hesitate.
I've got a feeling that I believe you 100% when it comes to that. Hey, maybe Keanu will see this and let you join his biker club.
Yeah, he can join my biker club. Yeah, that's it.
Good call. You're a
Me
great
too.
guy.